How do you know if the funds exist? Surplus funds exist when the property is sold to a third party. So, what that means is the former homeowner is behind on either property taxes or they may be behind on mortgage. Either way, there's a debt that is on the property. When the debt is on the property and the former homeowner can no longer pay it, then the property is sold at an auction. That auction can be a live auction or that auction can be a online auction where the public attends. Once the public attends, then it can be either an investor that is there, whether that investor is out of town, or that investor can be a local investor, or it just might be the former homeowner's neighbor. Either way, the property is going to be sold at an auction. Once the auction takes place, the auctioneer, what they usually do is they will start off at the amount of debt that is owed on the property. And anything bidded over that debt is considered surplus funds. So let me give you an example. You have Mr. Smith who is behind $10,000 on his property taxes. And a local investor, he has been watching that property for some time and he decides to go to the live auction and bid on that property. So he purchased the property for, let's just say, $50,000. So because he has purchased that property for $50,000, then there is a $40,000 surplus funds, or what we consider overage. And that will go back to the former homeowner. And that is how those surplus funds exist. Another way you will find out if surplus funds exist is because the local tax agencies will notify that former homeowner that the property has sold. They will notify that former homeowner in writing. The problem with that is that former homeowner has usually already vacated the property and they have not received that piece of mail. So that is another way you know if surplus funds exist. If it does exist, then that former homeowner will get soliciting calls and they will also get soliciting letters from attorneys asking that client to be able to allow that attorney to represent them in court. So that is also a way to find out if surplus funds exist. And the last way to know if surplus funds exist is that once those funds exist, then it will be put on a list as far as that former homeowner's name and that address of the property. It will be open to the public, and that list will either be considered surplus funds or excess proceeds list, or in some cities it might be called a overage list. And then you can see the amount as far as those funds and how much that former homeowner is entitled to. So those are just a few ways to find out if surplus funds exist.